Good morning, my name is Ram Mohammed. In this demonstration, I will show you how I use Issulog to configure a basic sandbox system. But that configuration is not just setting up the basic system, it will be configuring all the modules and every detail of the system, all the way to preparing a goal environment. And this is when we talk about configuration, very often we just think about the technical buttons to press and how to pull the data in. But what we are going to do in this specific step is provide analysis to understand what is the correct data you as a customer and the users will need to provide so that the system functions correctly to map your business operations. So in Issulog, you will have task 50, which will tell us it is a configure sandbox environment. What this is doing is basically setting up the scene to create a system. Obviously, we have documents on every step, and this one show how to provision the basic environment. And this is more the technicalities, and we will also cover this. And this document provides you the knowledge of what will be required to do such a task. So as before, we will have various steps of this purpose, reason we are doing it, who will be involved, and effectively time scale. There are links and wherever possible to explain what the tasks involve, so that you don't have to be browsing the internet all the time to find out how to do the task. So if I take a step back to this task and I view the detail of the task, you will see there is a dependent task. And as before, I will just cover that we have a discussion thread, we have checklists involved to sign off the issue task. But the dependent task will have a series of other tasks, and it will involve different participants. So to configure the environment, we talk about procuring the environment, but then you have to set up. So there are a series of configuration that need to happen. The base system setup, to create legal entities, etc., which we will look in very briefly. We need to do the base finance setup, and that is a task that is kicked off from this. So all the subsidiary setup that need doing are listed in this task. And if you're involved in a specific part of this, you will be secured but allowed to see what you need to do. So as we can see, the budget, the finance part are involved first, and as you would imagine, further down the supply chain tasks are kicked in. So we have a product information management subtask. If I click on this one, I would imagine that will actually take me through all the setup for the product, like base dimensions, dimension setup, and etc. etc. So I will roll back to the very beginning. As I've explained, the configuration involves multiple sequential stages, or some in parallel. And I can go back to the beginning and let me view the parent task of configuration. So there will be multiple tasks, and in this particular one, we will see there are 70 tasks, all the way to retail, if you wish to set them up. So I'll just take an example to give you an idea of what will be involved. And for example, let's look at the first one, basic system, that will involve the IT manager as the sponsor, as it will be a system-based task. There will be document guiding you along the way, and each document will guide you, tell you what the data represent, and will also tell you what the tasks are, and give you an example of what you will need to put if there is any data to enter as you're performing the task in Dynamics 365. It also gives you explanation of business processes and put it in context so that you can apply it to your own business. So this was a system setup on setting up an Azure, and as you set your base environment, you will start devising your company hierarchies. And here it explains what your company hierarchy is. It gives example and it tells you the tasks involved in defining a good company hierarchy that will model your business correctly. So this is more than the normal Microsoft document that you will get. It explains what organization hierarchies are in real life. It gives you examples. It pictorially depicts some other geographical example of companies, legal entities, and it will also give you data example of what to use. So in effect, configuring the environment may involve about 30 or 40 main tasks, but each of them may have several other subtasks and checklists attached. So, and to be able to configure an environment properly, your users dedicated to each area must understand what this involves. So like I mentioned, the IT infrastructure manager will be involved in setting up the environment, but then you will also have various aspects of it in the finance section, which I'm looking at the moment and showing me what a setup of address book with the guide notes attached. So back to the parent again for the system setup. And that will take me to all the other configuration as I mentioned previously. And then it will be a question of going through it with your users and picking the one that you're doing. So if I go back to again all the supply chain, there might be inventory, and there might, how do we set up your inventory to work in conjunction with Microsoft Dynamics 365? The information, the issue types are there, where every configuration guide document will be with you to guide you all the way. So I've just clicked on the inventory setup part, and there again it mentioned now that you have to set up site warehouse. It gives you detailed explanation what each and every task means, what is involved, who should be involved. It explains the fields that you will see, and it gives you examples of what you can put to fulfill this task. Then for example, again, setting up a site and give you an example of what you could put in. Then if you have any question in each specific task, you can use the detail of the issue task to discuss with your colleagues, with your managers, or the partners involved to get clarification until you can complete the checklist, as each of the tasks that are attached in each of the checklists that are attached in the task are listed to match the communication that must take place. In effect, Issulog provides you a thorough method of configuring your system and then understanding why decisions were made, which is different to just a technical approach.